from A2 Rural Residential District to C1 General Commercial District. Do we have anyone here who would like to speak in favor of that resolution? If you'll come to the podium and just state your name and your address.
Eddie Campbell, and I'm one of the part owners of that property. And what we're doing, I guess we have sold the property, and the contents of that was we had to do our part. They wanted that the whole section of the front there, which is commercial, and they wanted that lot went with it commercial. So that's what we're doing.
Any questions from County Commission? Okay, thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone who would like to speak against the rezoning?
Not necessarily against, but just.
If you'll come to the podium and state your name and your address, please.
My name is Brianna Alley. My mom owns the property at 471 Sinking Springs, so right up against the property that's in question. So our biggest question is just like how it's going to affect the value of the property, because this is going to be her retirement plan. And we did have a potential buyer, but with the news of what the property was going to turn into, it was kind of some uncertainty, so they backed out. So really, if it becomes commercial, how is that going to affect the value of the property? And she also uses the corner lot currently, which we'll have to move the mailbox over, which we understand because it's part of the sale, but really just takes away from the value of like the land and how it currently operates.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak against the rezoning? And with that, we will close the public hearing portion of this meeting, and can we go back to presentation?
Yeah, now
Okay.
gracious at the women's club.
Well, Coach Gaddis is parked illegally. I have to wait on him.
City of Clinton thanks you, Sheriff. So I'll start before I read this resolution. I want to thank our loyal group of some lackeys and some pets and others here. Last month, Mr. Hahn, I think everybody in the county is aware of Mr. Hahn and his impact in the Oak Ridge community. Last month, we were honored to present a resolution from the state of Tennessee honoring Mr. Hahn for his dedication and service to the club for 60-some years now. Are we going on 70? Yeah, he's want me to keep going. Following that, Charlie Hensley, another longtime advocate for the Boys and Girls Club in Oak Ridge, a city council member, pushed the same resolution through Oak Ridge City Council. And me being competitive and just my old school nature, I said, well, the county's got to do better than that, so we'll save the best for last. So in honor of Mr. Hahn's 90th birthday, we'll allow you to sit while I read this, if you'd like, and then we'll get up and rag on you just a little bit, possibly. All right. A resolution recognizing Mr. Lawrence Hahn on the occasion of his 90th birthday and his lifetime of dedication to the Boys and Girls Club of Oak Ridge. Whereas in 1953, a sophomore at East Tennessee State University, Lawrence Hahn began working at the Johnson City Boys Club, and in 1958, he was named the first executive director of the Boys Club of Oak Ridge, the youngest Boys Club executive director in the country. And upon his retirement in August of 2009, Mr. Hahn was viewed as the longest-serving paid executive in the history of the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And whereas, as the Oak Ridge Club started in an approximately 1,200 square foot abandoned and dilapidated wooden structure, but through Mr. Lawrence Hahn's enthusiasm and leadership, he built a productive network of volunteers and influential benefactors and oversaw the construction of modern club facilities. It had a gymnasium, learning center, and 4 athletic fields. Most importantly, Lawrence Hahn's commitment and passion for the Boys and Girls Clubs program positively affected generations of youth and their families. And whereas Mr. Lawrence Hahn and his wife Barbara raised 3 children of their own, David, James, and Eva, while he continually exceeded his professional obligations and often was the only father figure that many boys and girls ever had in their lives, he always made sure the club's participants were nourished and receiving many of the positive life experiences that more fortunate families provided for their children. And whereas in 1982, Mr. Lawrence Hahn founded the club's Alumni Association, which has been recognized as one of the largest and most active alumni associations in the nation, providing hundreds of thousands of dollars and thousands of service hours to support the work of the Boys and Girls Club of Oak Ridge. Since his retirement, Mr. Lawrence Hahn has continued to serve as a program volunteer and consultant, as has been appointed by the club's board of directors as executive director emeritus. And in recognition of his lifelong commitment to the organization, the club has been named in his honor. Whereas Mr. Lawrence Hahn has been honored nationally by the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, he's received several local community service awards, including Rotary Vocational Service, the Sertoma Service of Mankind Award, Fraternal Order of Eagles Service Award, the East Tennessee chapter of the National Football League Foundation and Hall of Fame Distinguished Service Award. The Rotary Club Paul Harris Fellow and Outstanding Tennessean Award was presented by Governor Lamar Alexander. Now therefore be it resolved, meeting in regular session on Monday, July 15th, 2024, that we, the Anderson County Board of Commissioners and County Mayor Terry Frank, do hereby recognize Mr. Lawrence Hahn for the occasion on his 90th birthday this month. In so doing, we also humbly honor Mr. Lawrence Hahn for his passion and commitment and the positive and lasting impacts he has had on the countless children and generations of families in Oak Ridge and throughout Anderson County. And I'm going to be a little off here before I have him up to speak, knowing he still has the opportunity to be long-winded when he wants. He's no James Powers. I want to say a few words and offer a couple other individuals to get up and speak on his behalf, if that's okay. All this is great on paper, but it's a piece of paper. But there's a few of us in this room, myself included, when it talks about boys that didn't have fathers in their life, I'm one of those. That's more than a piece of paper. This man made me who I am today. I apologize. Don't hold it against him. Some of y'all who you feel the way you do. But when I was young, and still to this day, I'm competitive, I'm aggressive, I'm trying to gain wealth, trying to increase my family's standing. But the difference that's changed in my life, and COVID had a big part of it, just kind of slowing things down. Money's great and it pays bills, but wealth is something that's stored up, and it's something that we will have in heaven, in my hope. Wealth is not a piece of paper like this, but wealth is the reputation and the legacy that someone leaves behind. And this man, 100 years from now, I have no doubt will still be, and always will, the richest man in the history of Oak Ridge, Tennessee. So I want to thank you. I didn't like you too much growing up, but I found I loved you, and now I love being around you. So I'm going to let a couple others rag on you real quick, if that's all right.
How many times did he fire you?
And that's the other thing. Y'all are going to hear some lies about how I got fired 3 times as an employee in my early 20s. It was twice. The third time was a mutual parting of ways. So, gentlemen, any of y'all got any lovely words to say about this man? Coach Gaddis, I know you love being in Clinton. You want to grace the microphone?
I'll make it quick. Speaking of firing, I took the job in 1988. He fired me in 1998. I left the state. I took the job in 2013. He fired me in 2021. He's never fired an athletic director, but that's next on his list. So, no, I love Lawrence Hahn. I didn't get to play for him and grow up through the boys club because I moved here in 1988, but I love this man more than I can think of any other man that I've ever loved. I love my dad, love my stepdad, but this is a special, special guy. Thank you all for honoring him.
Sure. Has anyone ever known the sheriff to sit back and not get the last word? That's why we're letting Mr. Hahn go last today.
So, I asked Mr. Hahn, I met him in 17 while campaigning for sheriff, and I was, as you can see, this crew he's got with him. So I asked him some questions. I asked him specifically, how did you meet Aaron Wells? Well, it was a heart-touching story. Not really what Aaron described. He caught Aaron smoking cigarettes out back of the club, and it's almost like a feral cat, right? And yeah, he fired him. And but I think despite all the great work Mr. Hahn's done and how much we appreciate him, he's really on the back end almost destroyed his legacy by some of the company he's keeping, right? I mean, let's take Joe Park Illegally Gaddis, right? Guys, he's gangster parked out there for this thing, right? But he's got a boot on it, but we'll get to the bottom of that later. But what I will tell you is the first time we did a escort for the Lady Wildcats and the football team a couple of years when they were heading off to the state playoffs, and Mr. Hahn rode with us, and we blocked Brian Galloway and I and some other deputies. We blocked the roadways for them. We come up to the intersection of Illinois and the Turnpike, and we pull ahead of the buses to block, kind of a running thing. Mr. Hahn literally looks at me and says, it's been a long time since I've done this. And I said, what? And he said, drove on the wrong side of the road, right? But he is a wealth of knowledge and absolutely one of the kindest, most genuine people you'll ever meet. And this proclamation tonight is well deserved. And he does. He means he's the crown jewel of Oak Ridge, but more importantly, he means a lot to Anderson County as well. And I thank you guys for that. Mr. Hahn, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I want to touch on one of the times when I fired him. Well, there's 2 or 3 times, that's right. But anyway, one time we sent him down to lay out the football field. And you know, generally you want some straight lines. I went down through there and they went like that. And, but there's a lot of other things I can tell you about him, but,
He said we're on television, so be cool about it.
one thing that I do want to say about my job all these years, I had kids grow up in the club, and then I've had the chance to see what kind of man they made. And when I see some of these here tonight, why, then myself, along with hundreds of volunteers, have made this possible. But I just want to thank y'all for taking the time to recognize an old man. I'm older than you are. He's a good friend. I better hush with that.
Thank you, Commissioner Wells, and Mr. Hahn, thank you for your service. We appreciate all you do for the youth of Anderson County. With that, I think that will close the consent agenda and presentation and public hearing portion of County Commission meeting. We will adjourn until 6:30.
Evening, everyone. Let's call the Monday, July 15th County Commission meeting to order. We have 16 present. We will start out by doing the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight will be led by, prayer will be led by Commissioner Palmer and Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Foster. Please stand.
Would you pray with me, please? Father, it is with great humility and neediness that we come to you tonight. Our country is hurting. Our country is in despair. There are things that's going on locally, statewide, nationally, that we cannot understand and we do not have the answers for. And so, Father, we need you. We need your wisdom. We need your knowledge and understanding, your discernment. We need you to help us individually, and we need you to help us collectively. We're counting on you to be here when we call upon you. So, Father, I pray tonight, as Almighty God, that you would look down upon this meeting, that you would help us make wise decisions that would be beneficial to the people of this county. I pray that you would calm our spirits and our minds and our hearts. Help us to be better than what we are. Father, again, we need you, and we invite you into this place to help us. It is in Jesus Christ's name I ask these things. Amen.
Amen. Pretty proud.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you so much. We will move on to appearance of citizens. This is a part of the meeting that where we allow citizens to address County Commission on items that are on the agenda or not on the agenda. You're allowed 3 minutes to address Commission. We will keep a timer for when you start. Commissioner Foster will call out 30 seconds. It will be a hard cutoff at 3 minutes. And when you come to the podium, please state your name and your address for the record. So I'm going to open the floor to anyone who would like to address the Commission. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Nathan Mullins. I'm from Oak Ridge. And the thesis here for my speech is, let our judges handle our own rulings over age-appropriate access to sex ed books within our community libraries. We may contemplate our heritage with grand pictures of judges represented by the prestigious historical collection of our courthouse predecessors that fill each of these halls. These proud religious families from which these judges came from shared common values and were invested by their Orthodox communities with the confidence to represent the Judeo-Christian precepts inherent in Western civilization. That's the reason we have 50-foot pillars strafing the Greek architecture of this building to analogize the purpose of this edifice in holding up the heavy burden of moral law. Our founding fathers were exemplars, and our local community judges swore to uphold these rules. They shared a pledge of duty to respect and commit to serve the realities of common legal code as it has been written. Our local legal code required the community of Anderson County to bring legal precedent to the public forum March 23, 2023, by petition of church and individual support from this county. All opposition was from Oak Ridge City, and subsequently a dozen county churches have admonished this commission. It has been quoted half a dozen times by our honorable local representative, John Reagan, that when asked why the local district attorney, Dave Clark, couldn't or wouldn't move on the obscene books in the children's section of the library problem, his answer is, I don't have the time. Not likely. The truth is, this entrenched bureaucracy is hiding from their responsibility. Unwilling to risk reprisal or offense in the newspapers, hoping that Nashville Bills will take the hot potato from their plate. The truth is inevitable and arriving because there are 3 bills that were narrowly blocked. Our Tennessee Bible Belt parents are taking off their belt and are getting down to business. And these amoral, self-serving, woke sympathizers will feel our bottom line. Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come. But woe to that man by whom the offense cometh. Whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, were better for them that a millstone were hanged
That's
about their
time,
neck
Nathan. Thank you, sir.
and drowned in the sea.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else who would like to address the county commission?
My name is Brianna Alley at 471 Sinking Springs. I apologize for the nerves earlier, but it is just a little emotionally involved just because, like I said, my mom is using the sale of the home for her retirement. And
I will say this,
Sure.
Brianna, I don't want to, we are going to take this up
Okay,
here in a second. You're feel free to
Okay.
continue,
yeah,
but we are going to be taking this up after when we approve the agenda. So
Okay.
the public hearing part will actually be taken up here if you want to speak then, but
okay.
feel free to.
Really, my question is more so, and we don't have any opposition, like we have used the property, we've maintained the property, it was like common just agreement because it wasn't ours, we just used it. So we have no problem with this sale. I guess the biggest question is because we do have, had a sale and then it was a back out. From a commissioner standpoint, what is the value of the property going to be going from residential to commercial? And then also, does that increase the value of our home? Does it decrease it? Does it have different stipulations? Those are really just the things that we would ask to be considered. Also, if you could answer those in a different setting, I'm also happy to come back up at that point.
All right, thank you. All right, is there anyone else who would like to address the commission? All right, seeing none, we will close that section of the agenda. Moving on to the approval and correction of agendas. First, we'll start with the consent agenda. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Yeager. Is this for approval, I'm assuming, Commissioner? And seconded by Commissioner Wandell. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, all approve, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to the irregular agenda. The only thing that I would add is moving, for the sake of the audience, is moving the executive session to the very last item of the agenda, maybe we could move it to new business for, officially, but is there any opposition to moving it at the very end so when the public, they don't have to keep coming back and forth?
I'm good with that.
Okay. Is there any other additions to the agenda? Commissioner Isbell, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could we please add just brief discussion about another joint meeting with the Planning Commission, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You want to just bring that up in your report?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there you good with that, Commissioner Foster? All right. Any other changes to the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of the amended agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to the public hearing report by Vice Chairwoman Vandergriff.
Thank you very much. So in the public hearing portion of tonight's meeting, we had a resolution amending the rezoning parcel 115-04 Anderson County tax map 014 from A2 Rural Residential to C1 General Commercial District. So I think what we need from County Commission would be
All right, looks
a
like we have a motion
motion.
by Commissioner Isabel for approval, sir. That's correct. And seconded by Commissioner Foster. We'll go to Commissioner Anderson.
Can I make one question? On the motion, it was brought to our attention by Harold that it says amend the zoning resolution and with the map, and we shouldn't only be amending the zoning map, not the actual resolution. That's correct. And you okay with that, correcting that? And Jay, you can, in the official document?
Okey-doke. All right, Commissioner Anderson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I just wanted to clarify the individual that was asking the questions on the property value, and this is probably more of a property assessor question, but I know we assess commercial property at 40% and residential at 25%, and it's based on the use, so it should increase the value of the surrounding property, I would assume, and my understanding is that the purchaser wants to put a climate-controlled storage, so it's kind of more of a passive commercial use. I don't think there's going to be any noise issues or anything like that that would detract from it. But that's all I had.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Isbell, you're recognized.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you again. And it passed unanimous in Planning Commission. Mr. Campbell came, and I even went out and looked at the property, and I think it'd be contingent with what's going on out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Edwards, just really quick, to address the questions, is that something you see when commercial property?
I think it meets the land use policy guidelines. I will suggest that any development will go back before the Planning Commission for site plan approval. If there is a self-storage plan for development there are 15 items that have to be met. So I would encourage you, if it does pass the County Commission, to come to the Planning Commission, provide input on site plan review.
Thank you, sir. All right. Is there anyone else, any more discussion on this motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
We had no other action items from the public hearing.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, moving right along, County Mayor Terry Frank.
Mr. Chairman, I have no action items. Everything I had was under the operations agenda this month.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, looks like we have Miss Regina Copeland here tonight.
Good evening. This is the annual report that I have to come and give to you all. There's two different reports that I do. This one, the first one I think that's in your packet is the report that I come and ask to be relieved of the liability for the 2022 taxes that's been turned over to Clerk and Master and to the delinquent tax attorney. That amount is $567,199.10. That was right about 99% collection for the 2022 taxes that we turned over.
That's awesome.
We collected almost 99% before we turned over.
Wow.
So
job.
this has been done. It has to be done by law before April the 1st, and we've already taken care of that, turned it over. So I'm here to ask to be relieved of that liability.
Good for you, thank you. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner McCamey and seconded by Commissioner Wandell. Is this just for we're taking these individually? All right, thank you, sir. All right, is there any discussion or questions for Ms. Copeland on number one? All right, seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
The second one is, it actually has all of them, in the packet it has all of them listed. And this is the property assessment changes that I received from the property assessor. When we send out the first bill or the tax roll is set, any changes, whether it be deletions or additions that are made to the tax roll by the property assessor has to come to our office, and this is a list of those, and that we have to do, that we're asking to be released of that.
All right.
Or-
We have a motion and a second by Commissioner McCamey and Commissioner Allen for number 2. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you,
Is that all?
ma'am.
Thank you all.
Okay. Mr. Holbrook, Budget Committee report. Should be a quick one.
We didn't have a budget meeting. But even so, I have a couple amendments for y'all. And the 4 reports that we normally do. The cash and fund balance report ending June. These numbers are unaudited, and of course, unassigned will increase, and so will restricted funds because of the some audit entries we make in August. But currently, restricted funds are at 1.3 million, committed funds 1.2 million, assigned funds are at 4.1 million. Unassigned fund balance is at 10,057,956 for a total fund balance in the general fund of 16,787,061. Cash ended June of 21,106,370, which is about 1.9 million higher than last June. The schools ended the year 8.5 million in fund balance and 11.8 million in cash. Any questions about cash and fund balance report?
All right, CNN, go ahead, Robbie.
Okay, sales tax really quickly. In May, 4.4 million, up 5.1% from last May, and the Anderson County portion 493,848, up 3% from last May. On the ARPA projects report, revenue loss still sitting at 1.2 million, and for a total of 1,018,403,000 that we still have to have obligated by December 31st, 2024, and spent by December 31st, 2026.
Okay.
Any questions on that? And the
Hold
last
on
report's
1 second. Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Robbie, on the Fire Commission funding that's been approved out
Yes,
of the
sir.
ARPA funds, what needs to happen there? Does each department need to contact you and make the request, or what's?
We didn't really set any guidelines for that money, so I have received a couple of for the appropriation we do each year. 2 of the volunteer fire departments have already met the guidelines to have that I could go ahead and issue. All they have to do is file with the state comptroller's office their financial report, and then we once they submit that to us, we write a check for the appropriation. I guess we could do the same for the ARPA funds as well.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. All right.
And the last thing is the grant inventory list. All the grants that we have in the county for 23-24. We'll be able to update this list next month for our 24-25 grants. So, all right. Under Group 8, additional items not discussed during the Budget Committee. We actually discussed this first one last month in commission meeting, the $70,000 for the circuit court clerk. That I'm going to put it in the circuit court clerk's budget and 194 jury expenses and give it a cost center of jury so we can keep up with those funds separately. But this will make the move to move the money into a budget code for this year, as that jury trial will start soon.
Okay. So we have a motion by Commissioner McCamey and seconded by Commissioner Varon.
Also, this needs 3/4 vote.
Yeah, this will need 3/4 vote since it was not presented to Budget Committee. Is there any discussion on the current motion? Seeing none, go to the board and vote. 16 yes, 0 no, motion passes.
Okay, thank you. And the last one I have is from the Sheriff's Office for the drug fund. restricted for public safety, 25,000, into a motor vehicle code. Missouri Highway Patrol has 2 vehicles available to purchase, and I think it's important that we act quickly on these to get them. So, and the school department will be funding the difference in the vehicles.
Okay. All right, again, this will need 3/4 vote, as if we did not have a budget committee meeting in this month. Motion by Commissioner McCamey, seconded by Commissioner Barron. Any discussion? All right, please go to the board and vote. All right, 16 yes, 0 no, motion passes.
Okay, that's all I have for budget. Any questions?
All right, purchasing.
Purchasing. There were 9 contracts approved by the law director, 5 Canon lease contracts, the Lincoln Memorial University Board of Education, Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance, Diversicare, and NHC, which is a transportation service for EMS. Seeking approval as a group. Can I answer any
All right.
questions?
We have is this as a group, Commissioner Yeager? Yes, it is. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Yeager to approve as a group, seconded by Commissioner Barron. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, go to the board and vote, please. Sixteen yes, 0 no, motion passes.
Okay, and the last item I have on the purchasing agenda is under unfinished business, the surplus capital asset sales. EMS sold 3 vehicles. The starting bid was $3,000, and the winning bids were $3,726, and there was no new business. So
We wouldn't need any action on
No,
those, right?
just information only.
Okay. Kobe, if you could clear the board on that, or I probably could no, I can't. Okay, any other questions for Robbie? Seeing none?
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
Robbie.
good night.
Okey-doke, we have, we'll move on to Law Director. Dr. Parrott was unable to attend, but he doesn't have a report as well. School will be, as my kids have reminded me daily, it's right around the corner, so. We'll go ahead and move on to Jay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no action items. They're all on committee reports, unless anybody's got questions about the written report.
All right, is there any questions for Mr. Yeager on his report? Commissioner Palmer?
Yes, since we've got a little extra time, just to
No, we
kind
don't.
of.
Yes, ma'am.
It's tight.
Just
It's
to
fair.
kind of explain to me, enlighten me.
Sure.
On number B, Anderson County zoning violations, can you explain those 3, motion for default, contempt granted, and closed? What exactly?
When they come over from the general process is the zoning complaints go through the zoning department.
Okay.
If they can't resolve the problem, then they send them to us. We try to resolve it. If we can't resolve it, we file a lawsuit. If they don't respond to our lawsuit, we'll take a default motion on them. And that's an order where we win. And then what was your, were you
Well,
contempt?
contempt granted,
That's where we've asked for daily monetary fines, trying to get some leverage on them to
Okay.
clean up the property. And if they don't comply, we go back and under a show cause and a contempt order. And if the judge sees that we have the evidence where they've not complied with the original order, then he'll issue a contempt order against them.
okay. And then closed, I'm assuming is, they've
That's where,
been
those more
resolved.
than likely are resolved.
Okay, all right. And just one more question,
Yes, ma'am.
please. Under other, this review of Fair Labor Standards Acts with the Texas Court of Appeals.
Sure. I don't know if you've seen this on the news, but the Biden administration has issued an order wanting to change the overtime threshold for several different positions. It's basically changing the Fair Labor Standards Act. That's been held up in the state of Texas by the Court of Appeals, but it still will apply here in Tennessee right now because that was a Texas case. It looks like, HR asked for that, it looks like we've only got about 5 positions that are going to be affected countywide outside of the school system, and those people will have to raise their pay or allow them to take overtime at time and a half or compensatory time. But that's what that's about. Does that help
Okay.
you?
Yes, so you just reviewed that and
We gave an
collaborated with
opinion,
that?
we gave an opinion to the Human Resources Department.
Okay.
They had all the research done, and they had all the letters ready to go out. They just weren't sure about this Texas opinion that came out a couple weeks ago and how that would affect us here in Tennessee.
Okay. All right, so we're watching that, right? I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
All right. Again, moving the executive session to the end. So we will move on to committee reports. Chairman Isbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, the Senior Center parking lot. Commissioner Yeager made a motion to approve temporary use agreement for Yes Go Travel for a portion of the Senior Center parking lot to provide secure overnight parking for seniors traveling to regional attractions. Seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Motion passed forward to full commission for approval.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Yeager, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion on the motion?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, there
Yes,
was
sir.
one small change that Commissioner Wandell wanted. I wanted him to know that's been incorporated in the final version that you've got.
All right, thank you. All right, any other discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Under Law Director, Commissioner Yeager made a motion to approve resolution number 24-07-1176 to terminate the 457B compensation plan through Nationwide. Seconded by Commissioner Barron. Motion passed forward to full commission for approval.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Allen, seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Any discussion on this motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Commissioner Allen made a motion to approve the soccer field lease agreement and the temporary use license and release of all claims form. Seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Motion passed forward to full commission for approval.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Wells and seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Commissioner Wandell made a motion to approve the amended Fire Commission bylaws, seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Motion passed forward to full commission for approval.
Okey-doke, we got a motion by Commissioner Wandell and seconded by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Commissioner Yeager made a motion to approve the revised cemetery gate agreement with TVA, seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Motion passed forward to full commission for approval.
Okay, we've got a motion by Commissioner Wandell, seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Commissioner Wandell made a motion to update the website, adding opioid settlement task force agendas and minutes, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Motion passed forward to full commission for approval.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Yeager, seconded by Commissioner Wandell. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Last on the agenda would be the Planning Commission joint meeting request to see if we could do that again, and maybe like every 2 months or something, and what dates will be available. Our state representative, he can't be here on Mondays and Tuesdays, so it'd be a Wednesday or a Thursday, I think.
Yeah, and that meeting we had was incredibly helpful, I thought.
And Joe Barrett, he was real impressed with the input that came from commissioners and thought it was really important for commissioners to have the input going forward before we present this to full commission.
Commissioner Vandegrift. There we go.
So I also wanted to mention that Commissioner Wandell had made the motion, or there was a motion to defer or refer the, I'm trying to find it, the proclamation to, for protocol and procedures for the disbursement of opioid abatement funds back to the task force. So I'd like to discuss setting a date for the task force meeting to discuss this resolution.
Okay.
Would August 6th work? Or not? Okay.
Best present you could give her is coming to that meeting.
August 8th, would that work after the, or would that not work? After budget? Okay.
you want to shoot out some dates to?
Yeah, I'll just shoot out some dates by email and see what we get back.
All right, Commissioner Isbell, we had talked about that third Thursday or fourth Thursday.
The third Thursday is when I have several different board meetings other than that.
So fourth Thursday.
Mhm.
Maybe we could get together and shoot out some dates and kind of get it on a calendar.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. All right, good deal.
That concludes the Operations Committee report, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, moving down to, before we go to executive session, we've covered, is there any announcements that commissioners would like to make other than the fair? We've,
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I just briefly, I'd ask everyone at home, all of us, let's pray for rain.
yes,
And
sir.
let's pray constantly for rain.
Yes, sir. All right, seeing any other announcements, Phil, do we need a motion to go into executive session? All right, is there a motion to go? Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Beauchamp, seconded by Commissioner Yeager, to go into executive session. And before we vote, just to let the public know what, just briefly, executive session is a time that county commission, it's a closed meeting between the county legislative body and their attorney. So that would mean the TV goes off, everybody has to exit. So if this motion does pass, we'll be asking everyone to leave. We'll be going into executive session. All right, is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. We will be in executive session. Feel free to stay, but it probably won't be anything exciting when you come back.